June 18th, 2024, and it's your girl Silver Moon Raven here. I want to start a little series of paranormal true short stories. So these are true stories that happened to me personally. The first story that I want to talk about, and these happened throughout my life, and I figured I don't want to take them to the grave. I should share them because I bet you there are other people out there that are going to resonate with this. And I mean, it's no coincidence you found this video. My first true encounter is with the Thunderbird. And here's my story. I had no real notion of Thunderbird. Phoenix. I do identify with the Phoenix very much. I know that there are different mythologies and such with them, but similar in some ways. Identify with the Phoenix in my life a lot. But I've never given thought really about the Thunderbird and specifically calling it that. And so here is what happened one afternoon. I used to live in suburbia in the Bay Area over by San Francisco inland, and had a nice house in a nice neighborhood. And so every day, like clockwork, I would take my little dog, this one, I would take her for walks. We would go for little walks and stuff, and she's small, she's 8 pounds. And so I would always put my headphones on, get my sneakers, my yoga pants, and my dog on my leash, and off we would go. I was walking down my neighborhood as usual. This was maybe the 100th time that my dog and I were out and about in the world at that time, kind of similar time every day. And I had my headphones on. I was listening to my music nice and loud. I was walking my dog. And her and I have been together 12 years. At that time, we probably were together, I don't know, like half that time. We're close. I know her. She knows me. Okay, we're intuitive with each other. We've been around each other the longest of anybody. And so as I was walking her, you know, I'm in my headphones, she's pulling. I know she shouldn't be pulling. She should be next to me, but let's just let her go. And so I'm walking her, and all of a sudden her demeanor changes. You know, she's this quiet, believe it or not. She's a rat terrier chihuahua, but she's very quiet. She's a very quiet dog. She's a very calm dog. She likes other people. She likes cats. She likes dogs. She's pretty chill. Her demeanor changed. And she went from just, you know, prancing, you know, confident, like having fun kind of thing, to all of a sudden just like crouching. You know how dogs get. And she has a little nubby tail. So it's not like you can see it wagging and stuff, right? She has a nubby tail, but you could still see it like hide. And I'm like, what's going on? You know, what's going on with her? And so I didn't think much of it. And I kept going, right? I was walking. And but maybe 30 seconds later, she did it again. And mind you, I have headphones on, I'm listening to music loud, and I have a hoodie on. And I'm like, okay, what's going on, right? So I take off a headphone just real quick to see what's going on, you know, because she crouches again, her ears go down, her tail, like, tries to tuck in. She makes herself even smaller. And I'm like, okay, it has to be something above, right? Like, we had hawks, we had in that area, it was like a grapevine area. So there were big birds. And so we had hawks, we had turkey vultures. And so I'm like, it has to be something, you know, along those lines that's trying to maybe snatch my dog or something. So yeah, I'm like, you know, taking my headphones off and looking around. It's quiet, it's peaceful. I see his chemtrails, and putting my headphones back on. I'm like, okay, nothing's going on, whatever, you know. And so we keep walking, and we're almost done with that block, and all of a sudden she does it again. She crouches, right? Like after, like, you know, 30 seconds or so, 40 seconds, she crouches again. And I'm like, okay, something's going on. And if nothing else, at that time, I lived in a very haunted house, severely haunted, and it wasn't good energy. So especially because I'm a sensitive and I've always picked up on energies, I know for a fact that I need to take my cues from my animals. I used to go home, and I was the first one home, and it was dark. I would always take my cues from my cats. It was a 3-story house. Always take my cues from my cats and my dogs. If they were chill by the door, just waiting, like, hey, you finally showed up, you know, let's party, then I would step into the house and be okay. But if all of a sudden they look frightful or something's going on or hiding or agitated, I wouldn't go in the house. So, until somebody else showed up. So I took my cue from my dog. I'm like, something's going on, and I have these headphones on. Something's about to happen. She's sensing something. Something's about to take my dog, and I have the headphones on. So I took both of them off and I stopped. And mind you, there was no one outside this neighborhood. I mean, it was Bay Area. It was inland, and it was around a time where people were at work for the most part. So there wasn't really much traffic. It was like the suburbia. So there wasn't really much traffic, and no one was inside, no kids. Kids were at school and stuff. And it was quiet. And so I stood there, though. Like, I stood there listening. And right when I was about to put my headphones on, like, what's going on? Okay, you're just freaking out for no reason. Or maybe we're going to get an earthquake. Right as I was about to put my headphones on, it was midnight, I always get those backwards. It was midday, so the sun was right above, right ahead, and I had a hoodie on with a little brim. As I was about to put my headphones on, a giant shadow came right over us, and it freaked me out because for a split second there, my mind went to, because I saw the shape pass me by, right? It went to, oh my God, an airplane is crashing. Because it was too damn close. What the hell else is going to be that damn close that it created a pretty significant shadow covering me and my dog going by super fast. And I freaked out. I'm like, oh my God, an airplane. And so immediately I looked up, and whatever had passed, it passed this way behind us. And so I'm like, what the fuck? Like, nothing's up in the air. So I turned around, and I kid you not, I'll never forget this because it was so cartoon character, kind of like rub your eyes and look again kind of moment. It flew in the air. So in the Bay Area, the sky is kind of like hazy blue. There's a lot of chemtrails they spray, and it's, you know, and it's hot, especially inland. The sun's beating down, and that chemtrail kind of lingers and it spreads, it expands and turns the sky into like this hazy white bluish color. So there were chemtrails in the air. And in the distance there were like if you took a paintbrush with a lot of water and kind of smeared a lot of white and then some blue in the background, it was hazy. It was hazy with that kind of chemtrail. And so I saw it fly into what looked like a cloud and kind of bend gracefully. And this thing was big. This thing was big because I was seeing it in the sky, and I don't know the reference of the distance between the time it flew and I saw the shadow to where it was when I turned around and saw it, but it flew majestically. And it did a loop, and then I remember it had like little feathers. It was a bird. It had big wingspan. It had a tail that's tapered. It tapered down into like little skinny parts with feathers at the end. It was beautiful. And I called it at the time translucent. Now I know that it was an interdimensional being, and I was seeing like between the curtain, I was seeing like the curtain to the spirit realm was faded enough that I could see that it allowed me to see it. And so it blended almost with the background. It was kind of like a hazy white, hazy blue. And it did a few loops, and it kind of pranced, it kind of taunted a little bit. It never flew overhead again, and it left to the distance. It flew to the distance, and it flew east. I remember it flew towards what at the time would have been like Stockton area. And I stood there staring at it like, I can't believe what I'm looking at. What the hell is this? This isn't some kind of bird. I didn't think about Thunderbird. I just stood there like a deer in headlights with my dog crouching by my feet at that point. Like, you know, doing the little chihuahua shake thing. I just stood there. I watched it. I kept my eye on it the whole time. It moved, it flew, it came in and out, and eventually faded towards like Stockton, inland, east, into the haze. And I tried to strain my eyes as much as I could so I could see it disappear. And it finally disappeared. And I stood there for a while wondering, like, is it going to come back? Am I going to see it again? I never saw it again. Never in my life have I encountered something like that. But I stood there, deer in headlights, mesmerized by what I was looking at. And immediately I cut my workout, my walking, I cut it short and I went home. And at the time, this was back in maybe like 2012, around that time. At the time, I was dating my twin flame. And so I immediately reached out to him and told him my experience. Like, he was the first person I told. And he was the one to tell me, input that information online, see what you're going to get. And he said it. He said it before I found it. You know, he said Thunderbird. And so I read some information on the Thunderbird. I read that Native American folklore or stories talk about the Thunderbird and it's a sacred animal. I'm Native American, so it made sense, I guess, in a way that it would appear to me. I always wondered what exactly it meant for me to see it. It changed my life in a way because it cemented the theory that I had that, you know, some of these creatures that some of us swear we see, and then all of a sudden they disappear or people can't find them when they go looking for them. These are interdimensional beings. They don't live in this dimension. They hop into our dimension when they feel like it, and if they make themselves known, it's because they felt like it, and then, you know, they hop back into their dimension and they're gone. They disappear, and it looks like they just kind of vanished into thin air. So I had one of those experiences. At that point in my life, I've had plenty of paranormal experiences that this wasn't something that I'm like, no, I didn't see that. When it happened, it felt very magical. Yeah, I feel really blessed in my life to have seen a Thunderbird, because I know, based on what I read, it's a sacred creature, and it doesn't just show up for anybody. It showed up for me, though.